Well, Congressman, thank you for making time. Appreciate it. You've got just a few weeks left here. Has it hit you that you're almost done?
It's hitting me. This is the week that it all started hitting me. We've been in the process of clearing out files and everything. After 20 years, there's a lot of stuff, um, pictures, things of that sort. The stuff that you want to keep that was transformative policy that you worked on, that you want to keep records of. Then the things you thought were important at the time that you now look at as just trash. We all have to do that from time to time. But um, this was the week where it all kind of hit me that I'm going to be casting my final votes, um, and it's an odd feeling.
Still feels okay though.
It still feels okay. I when I made the decision to not run again, I did so with a very clear head about it. It was not an emotional decision. There's a lot of emotion that's captured in this position. I mean, I've spent my whole adult life working around public policy and elections, and to have your final election, to watch your successor have an election, um, those things are feel different. Um, and I leave the House of Representatives as somebody who loves the institution. I love the people of the institution, the staff, the members, the people I get to work with. Um, and I've viewed this as public service, yes, but I've gotten just as much value and meaning out of it as I've contributed, and that was unexpected.
Well, you entered Congress the age of 28,
Week after my 29th birthday,
29th birthday, which quite young. How would you describe yourself in your early years as a lawmaker?
I was a backbench bomb thrower, uh, and I thought I was going to move the policy needle by engaging that way. And I recognized in my second term that that's not actually how you get things done. And by my fourth term, I was on the right path to be a meaningful contributor to policy outcomes here and shaping the things that we pass.
Reading an article from your early days in Congress, and one of your political consultants said she could see you someday being vice president, not president because you've got to be more bipartisan for that, but a vice president, someone who could become a conservative legend. Do you feel you've changed from that more partisan lawmaker to reaching across the aisle, not being as much of a bomb thrower?
I think what has changed is the means to get things done. Um, I still want conservative policy. I still think our government's too big and too expensive. I still want to change how we regulate the economy. I want less regulation or smarter regulation, more innovation. So in many regards, my policy set has not shifted. The way that I've engaged, which is instead of holding out to get 90% of what I want or 100% of what I want, understand that getting 50% of what I want may be the greatest success. So my assumption of what I can achieve on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis has come to the realities of Congress. And then the means to get it, which is working with my colleagues as they are from where they are, um, as that's been the eye opener of this, and that's enabled me to be more effective with policy outcomes.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters just said, I think 2 weeks ago, that uh, she praised you for keeping this committee largely insulated from some of the chaos happening in Congress.
Um, I'm grateful she said that. It was my intention as committee chair to show the respect to members of this committee on both sides of the aisle, the type of respect that I wish I'd been given by some of my committee chairs over the years. Some were good, some were bad, in my view. Um, but what I wanted to do as committee chair is when I tell members I have an open door, have an open door to them. Be open to their ideas. Be open to constructive criticism. And if we're building out policy, take those criticisms not as something you have to fight against, but to improve the legislation so you can win them over. Um, And we've had some legislative successes here because that's what we did. And I say we. I wanted members to know that I had an open door, but they needed to talk to one another. And I think that's helpful. And I think that's a significant piece of my, um, a significant piece of what I've contributed to this committee is that encouraging members to talk to one another and having an open door as chair. The other thing I did as committee chair, which I think was supremely important in this environment, and especially in this Congress, is the debates that we have outside of the four walls of this committee, you can have. You should have them. But this is not the venue for those things. You want to go fight out on those policies that are the most divisive in our society today and the most divisive in Congress. This is not the committee for it. We're here to talk about innovation, the way we regulate financial firms, the way we help those get on the right economic track and be lifted up in society. It's this economic opportunity piece that we've focused on in this committee, innovation, and helping Americans get the benefits of a growing economy, and unlocking their dreams. So we focus on that rather than the hottest of hot button issues that are so divided in this country. And when people wanted to bring it into committee, I would encourage them to do that somewhere else. For us to stick to our knitting here that we can actually build consensus on, where other committees can get sidetracked on those other social causes.
Is there legislation you point to as being most proud of
Um,
or
I
issues?
well, I mean, there are a couple things. So in digital assets, we passed a major bipartisan bill to give definition to what is a digital asset, cryptocurrency, and a means to exchange those pieces of value. We had a bipartisan vote here in committee. We had 71 Democratic members vote with almost every Republican on the House floor. We've not seen a bill out of the Financial Services Committee since the financial crisis that created such a wide bipartisan vote on the House floor. I'm very proud of that. Now, we didn't get the work across the line and signed by the president this Congress, but I'll watch next Congress and I'll see them succeed in getting that enacted into law.
Let me go back.
The other piece was I was called in by Speaker McCarthy to negotiate the debt ceiling with my friend and colleague Garrett Graves, congressman from Louisiana, and I'm proud of the results that we got there. We had the largest spending restraint of any fiscal package enacted in a law in the history of the United States. We have major environmental law changes and the first entitlement reform we've had in a generation. And we negotiated that in a divided House and Senate and a divided Washington, where very few things got done this Congress. It got 2/3 support of House Republicans, 2/3 support of House Democrats, and necessary fiscal restraint. And at the same time, we raised the debt ceiling and avoided the calamity, the economic calamity that would come from that as well. I helped negotiate that bill. Speaker McCarthy said that made the decision that I would be the lead sponsor of that bill, and so I'm proud of the results we got there.
For a lot of lawmakers, that would be sort of their claim to fame. But then, of course, you had quite the following next few months. Let me go back to your time as acting Speaker of the House. I know it's Speaker Pro Tem, but we'll call it acting Speaker of the House. Um, were you as angry as you looked when you slammed down that gavel?
I was, I was. In that moment, it was like it's like an out of body experience in many ways. Yes, I was angry. I was angry for a couple of key reasons. One, my friend Kevin McCarthy got pushed out of the speakership by 8 selfish Republicans siding with all the Democratic members. I understand why the Democrats voted the way they did, but those 8 selfish Republicans did so uh, against our successes and against the successes that Speaker McCarthy had on every major initiative he succeeded. On every pledge that he made to our members, he succeeded. And for him to be pushed out of the speakership after success was unjust. That was one. And two, to see what this is going to do to our institution, to diminish the speakership, to diminish the powers of the House. I'm very concerned about our institutions of government, very concerned about our institutions of government. But in that moment, standing at the speaker's rostrum with a gavel in my hand and recognizing that I'm in a situation that the House didn't want, that I didn't want, that we'd never had before, I was angry at the absolute stupidity of that moment. And I had no way to show the frustration, no way to have any expression of or put word to this feeling I had.
Do you still look back on those, I think it was 23 days when you were acting speaker, with anger, a little bit of sadness, or what comes to mind?
I look back and think, um, I now look back and think maybe that's why I was here in the House. You hope that in a moment of challenge, that you can have you can, and I think we all have hopes that in some meaningful moment of crisis or challenge that we can have some meaningful contribution to make it better. Um, and I now look back and think, well, maybe that was my moment, that I was there to do that job because of my view of the institution, because of my relationships with the members, because of the relationship I had with the speaker. And maybe that's what I was called to do. Maybe my 20 years boiled down to 23 days. I don't know. But I was grateful that I could serve the institution, enormously grateful. And I knew I had to be purposeful in the job. And being purposeful would drive us to a decision that could be a lasting and sustained one.
You told me about 2 years ago, very succinctly, you did not want to be Speaker of the House. You wanted to focus on policy. But anyone who knows you knows you're pretty good at the politics side of it as well. Were you just tired of the politics? I mean, did it, because you could have maybe made a run at being Speaker. Were you just sort of tired of it?
No, no. Um, I, 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 I mean, this is a really good question. It, I knew I don't know the best way to say this. Um, I recognized that I was not fit for the moment, and fit for the task required. So it was a bit of introspection on that count. And the other count was um, my opportunity for being successful in that situation. And I viewed it as having a limited opportunity for true success that could move the country forward, move the institution forward. So I didn't. So for those reasons, I decided it was not right. Now, I said this to you, but it's another thing to actually uh, make the decision when it's laid before you. And in October, I had it laid before me, and that's when I knew firmly and made the firm decision I did not want to be Speaker. And that was a hard decision.
Because I'm going to guess that bomb thrower, freshman lawmaker, sophomore, junior lawmaker would not have done the same thing.
No, no. And that's why you have to understand this institution before you can be a meaningful player in it. And if you understand this institution, you will have reverence for it. You'll have respect for it. You will treat it well, even if the members are not treating you well. And especially if the members are not treating you well. Um, but but no, I think I would have operated differently as a freshman because I didn't know anything about the institution or the meaningful importance of the House's role in our constitutional system, the checks and balances, why this delicate design of our government has to be intensely followed. and those divisions of power jealously guarded. And those things you have to develop over time. You can read about it, you can try to understand it, but you have to experience it to be able to fully actualize uh, fighting for it.
Do you believe Speaker Mike Johnson has that?
He's developing that. And he is a better speaker today than he was when he started, and he's gotten better week over week, month over month. And I think he has great opportunities ahead to be a successful speaker. Yes, I do. We went through a lot of heartache in October to find the right speaker. We did, um, and he's risen to the cause. He had a unified House Republican vote to become speaker, and he has understood the powers of the speakership and his role in this republic based off of the most challenging crucible in American politics. And he succeeded. We've got a majority. Republicans have a majority next Congress. So that success, his success, begets success.
I won't get into the day of news because that's not really what this interview is about, but um, he faces a bit of a situation right now. Uh, Twofold question. One, you have had some criticism for Speaker Johnson. Um, do you think that he will be able to stay in the job as you look towards this new Congress?
Yes,
Because
absolutely, because he's risen to the occasion and he fits the moment. But
if I
rewinding,
could, can I ask, just because there are some Republicans now already saying they want somebody else?
yes, that is in the nature of the speakership, and that is in the nature of executing power. It is to be expected. It is to be expected in this environment and with our Republican Party. It is just to be expected. But rewinding to my criticism from the beginning of the year, my criticism was on making a decision, following through on that decision, and acting on that decision. There was a delay in making a decision, um, and that whole process got delayed on how we funded the government. And what I said, the criticism was make a decision and carry it out and execute it and move fast. Move fast, and the rest of the year is going to be fantastic. He did. He moved. We had a successful result for government funding, and Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, has had a successful 2024. So my criticism was that of being a friend and a supporter, not of a critic, a pure critic. Um, and I'm a harsh judge of people in this institution, and I'm even a harsher judge of myself. Um, but I will commend Speaker Johnson. I'll commend Speaker Johnson for executing and making decisions, and then dealing with the consequences of it. In doing so, he's become a better and better Speaker of the House, which is what we want, which is what I want as a Republican, for him to be successful. And now we've got our own this next big challenge of government funding. It is tough, and he will live to fight another day, and we'll get this thing done.
I'm running out of time, but I do want to get your reaction to the election results. Were you surprised?
I was surprised at the margin of the Electoral College outcome. I was surprised that the president won the popular vote. I think those two things are a very good and healthy thing for our republic. When people want to change the system because their party loses, I think it's a dangerous thing for people to think that that is a reasonable outcome or reasonable way that for us to function as a country. And so for the system to work and work without hiccups is good for our republic.
Um, how do you feel you fit in today's Republican Party?
Eh, Look, I have long had concerns about the role of China. Uh, Representing Western North Carolina, we saw what Chinese goods did to furniture, the furniture industry, to the textile industry. Bad trade practices have led to massive job losses in Western North Carolina for a few generations. So, in that way, the president's approach on China, I desperately welcome. Um, his leadership on economic and regulatory issues is unrivaled in my lifetime of what he has done to bring the policies that I care most about. And I'm, have almost perfect, um, and I have I have a high degree of agreement on his approach to financial regulation. And those are the things I've spent my whole adult life working on. So I'm pleased.
On the social side, social issues
Eh,
is
look, it's a matter of emphasis. I'm a conservative. I'm certainly a conservative. But I understand where America is, and I understand that we're a nation divided on the hottest of hot button social issues. I'd rather spend my time on fruitful policy where we can get things done and get broad agreement. That's where I've tried to spend my time.
one more question on this. I'm just curious, given that you're an insider in the world of Congress, um, do you have concerns as you look at somebody like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and the what seems to be influence they are going to have on this incoming Congress? Do you worry that there is a blurring of lines with the elected versus the non-elected?
Look, um, major industrial leaders have had a large say in our society and in our and we've got free speech rights. Um, and but for the Doge initiative, I welcome it. I think it's high time we prioritize making our government less expensive, more efficient, getting better results for the American people, and making it and bringing down our budget deficit and our debt. I welcome it, and I'm glad it's going to be prioritized, and I'm grateful that you have, um, especially one of the most successful entrepreneurs to ever live, leading that initiative. I think is a welcome thing.
What's next for you?
I don't know. It's going to be fun to figure out, and I'll spend time doing that in January. Very hard to do this job and think about the next thing. Complicated to do that, so I'll spend some time next year figuring that out.
Have you ruled out political office in the future?
No, there's nothing like that. But I don't know what comes next. I'm gonna figure that out, and I'm excited about it. First career change I've had, and since I was in my 20s.
And you're re you're not retiring, but we'll use the word retiring at
I'm not heading
a very young age in Congress.
well, I'm not gonna head down to Del Boca Vista, with George and Jerry's parents or anything like that. I'm not really retiring. Still got to work. I've got young kids, and looking forward to spending time with my family and having a career, rather than having public service and time with my family. It'd be nice to have a little more balanced life.
Congressman, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.